I'm here with Bryant Jennings, who plans to put Broad Street Boxing back on the map when he faces Bowie Tutupu at the main events NBC Sports card. Now, Bryant, coming into this fight, you know, you received a lot of praise from, like, you know, people in the media, different trainers, Freddie Roach. They think you're going to be the next big thing in the heavyweight division for Americans. And it's almost America's time, considering, you know, where the Klitschko's are in their career. You know, one of them is about to retire, and the other one, well, you know, he might be a problem for a while. What are your, you know, future ambitions, you know, to do with this division here and maybe, you know, across, you know, overseas too?
Well, you know, I just got to win every fight. You know, I'm just got to stay focused, remain focused. You know, knock down all the obstacles that stand in front of me. You know, right now, what I have in front of me is a 6'2", maybe 260-pound guy from Tonga. Looks kind of like an Hawaiian. You know, just want to, you know, make him do the aloha, you know, and make him sit down. So, you know, I got to make sure I execute well, and, you know, I come out with the win on Saturday night.
So, you know, Bowie's a big puncher, but you're not afraid of mixing it up with him? And,
no, you know, because in my past, you know, I've heard, you know, that a lot of people were big punches, and, you know, really don't mean that. You know, there's a lot of big punches in the boxing game. You know, boxing is boxing, and only take one hit. You know, I'm a big puncher also, and I have speed, and so I just think that's something that he needs to be worried about too. But, you know, I have my full focus, and I'm not worried about none of that.
Okay. How much have you seen of him?
I haven't seen any of it. Never seen it.
Okay. Well, you do know his last fight with Malik Scott, though. You know, fellow Philadelphia.
Yeah, I've heard. Knew the outcome. Still didn't watch it.
So your strategy for the fight, is it just based on, you know, your normal routine, or so have you fitted it to his specific abilities?
Yeah, well, you know, I'm more of a technical fighter. The way as though I adjust to my opponents, and you know, once I adjust and once I set the pace, then I execute from there.
Okay, so you're planning to see what he does in the ring, and then you're just going to adapt.
You know, I just plan to do what I'm supposed to do. You know, whatever he does, and make sure I execute off of whatever he's doing or whatever he tries to do. And, you know, once I get a hold of that, then, you know, I can establish my plan. And, you know, establish the things that I set out to do, which is to work.
Yeah. You do have one of the fastest hands in the heavyweight division right now.
Second Eddie.
Fast Eddie Chambers. Yeah, who's moving down the cruiserweight?
Yeah, so I'm number one.
Right, now you're number one. Okay. The Philadelphia boxing landscape at heavyweight, you know, you got Steve Cunningham there too. You know, what do you guys want to do for this city? Like, as for bringing, like, boxing back, like, you know, boxing is often, you know, our fighters often have to fight in, you know, New Jersey, Atlantic City, you know, but now we're here on Broad Street in the heart of North Philadelphia, you know, so, you know, what can we expect in the future out of the Philadelphia talent?
Well, I mean, well, as long as I'm progressing, you know, my city's progressing. This is where I'm from, this is where I represent, you know, this is where I live, so I'm always put on for my city, but, you know, the city got to, you know, we got to work together. You know, it just don't take me. You know, I don't know what other guys' plans are. You know, and I don't know what the future may bring. But, you know, as long as I'm here, as long as we working together, as long as I progress in my career, you know, I'm gonna always put on for my city. This is where I'm from. This is what made me.
Okay, so you're open to coming back and fighting Philadelphia?
I'm definitely open to coming back and fighting in Philadelphia. You know, hopefully after Saturday night, you know, we can showcase our outcome, you know, or how the venue did, things like that, and maybe we can set up a date at another time, and it'll be even better.
All right, so you're the USBA champion. That would put you in the WBA ratings, right?
IBF ratings.
Okay, all right. IBF ratings.
Number 5.
Right. Well, Vladimir Klitschko is the champion in that division, and I believe Steve Cunningham and Thomas Adamek, they're fighting for like the number 2 spot. A couple weeks from today. What would be the next step after Bowie?
Well, like I said, I'm only focused on Bowie right now. The next step, we just have to figure that out. Once Saturday night is over with. But I'm well focused. I'm looking to progress. So the next step could be something good. It could be something great. But I don't have nothing or nobody in my radar. But to reach higher heights and just progress.
Okay. What are your thoughts on the WBA champion Alexander Povetkin?
Alexander Povetkin is a well-skilled fighter. He's Alexander Povetkin, and I'm Bryant Jennings. So
if you were offered a fight with him?
I've said this before. If I was offered a fight with anybody, I would fight just about anybody.
In his backyard?
In his backyard, in his house, in his bathroom, in his bedroom, no homo. But I'm trying to progress. So any form of progression, I am willing to do it. So regardless of who it is, what it is, if it allows me to progress in my career, I'm going to do it.
Okay. Well, best of luck to you Saturday night, and I hope you bring boxing back in a big way to Philadelphia.
Yep.